everyone, Chris Henderson here from Northern Tribe Outdoors, and it's time for a Suburban Overlander update. And hasn't been a lot going on because I've been duck hunting, and now that duck hunting is over and spring has sprung, we're finally out of the snow. It was time to get on a project that's been bugging me for a long time, and that is the backup lights. If you've ever been in a Suburban, and especially with the tinted windows in the back here, you know that these little lights back here, well, they're inadequate. That's a big problem. When you're backing this thing up, you need to see where you're going. You need to see if there's grandkids back there and that kind of thing. So I've been wanting to put some backup lights on this. Also, when you're unloading decoys, when you're unloading your fishing gear and it's the dark 30, you want to be able to see what you're doing. So I wanted to have some lights that would not only turn on with the backup lights, but also that I could flick on and use while I'm loading and unloading, that kind of a thing. So here's what I did. These babies right here, they're made by Foxlight, and I will put all their specifications and a link in the description of this video so that you can pick some up if you want to. And let me tell you how I did this. The first thing I had to do was run power back here. I didn't want to jump off of anything that was already back here. I wanted to have its own circuit. I just think that's easier. If things start going wrong, you start having shorts, I don't want to mess with the wire loom. That's what happened to my other Suburban. Started getting shorts in the tail lights and the brake lights. It was popping stuff, and there was a short somewhere, but who knows where, and eventually just killed it. So on this one, I want to try and keep that as much as I can, not having other things going on with it. So I ran a power cord all the way down. I came down this right here, dove in and came in under the frame. I came in on this side because this was the side that had the air conditioning, and I could run it right along the air conditioning tubes. I kind of think that's better than running it next to the gas lines. I don't know, the other electrical is near the gas lines, but you know that stuff explodes. Anyway, it's moving along here, and then I brought it up and put it right through the door boot. You can take a look. Just ran it right up into the I ran it right up into the motor, and then back through here and in through the door boot. And then I had to run it along here to get under the dash where I was going to actually end up putting the switch, and I'll show you that in a second. Under here, you see I put a fuse, and then I added these things, which are a lot of times used for marine application, but for us, when I start putting accessories on this thing and lights and refrigerator and things like that, I want to have a separate hookup so that I'm not always having to disconnect my starter and all the rest when I'm wanting to disable some of these extra things. This just sits down in here. I might zip tie some things in here to secure it up after I get going for a bit. Also, this will set it up for when I get my second battery, which I've got space for, but don't have a system yet. That's on the way. So in here under the cab, what I did is I put a relay and then a 3-position switch. This one's just a simple toggle that I found at the automotive store, and it's on, off, on. And so what that allows me to do is with the relay, and I put the wiring diagram in the description. What I'm able to do is I was able to tap the reverse cord that's coming back, or wire that's coming back off the wire loom right underneath here. I found the reverse one, and I tapped it and put it as one of the inputs into the relay. And then the others are obviously the power input, a ground, and then the switch, position number 1. So what happens is in the up position, when I put it in reverse, the backup lights will come on. When I put it in the middle position, they're not on. Yeah, sometimes, you know, you're in the church parking lot, there's you know, you don't want to be obnoxious. That might be a thing to do. Or a store parking lot or something like that, where it's just not necessary. There's good lighting, all that kind of thing. On the other hand, probably I'm going to leave them on most of the time. And then the down position will be able to turn them on as I want. And even if the car is off, it doesn't have to be running, doesn't have to be in reverse to access those lights. Why such an ugly switch? Well, that's all they had there for 3-position switches. And so I am looking on the internet for some kind of really good switch that would look cool on the dash of my Suburban. So for now, that's going to sit in there. I don't want to drill holes in something and then have to get a bigger one or a smaller one or something like that. So if you have some ideas for what a really cool switch would be for this, post them up in the comments section. I'd love to hear from you. And if you have a good link for a source on some really cool looking switches, let me know. I'm going to put some big switches in up on the top eventually, but that's an eventually. I got some other things that I want to do first. So that's the update for now. Hopefully right about now you're seeing some shots of what it looks like in reverse without the lights, and then you can see kind of how dark that is, and now some pictures of what it looks like when the lights are on. Really impressed with the amount of brightness and how that looks. So excited for how that's going to go, and trying to back this thing around in the dark. Well, you might be thinking it's a little update, and it is a little update. It was a big project for me. I'm mechanically declined, and it's always a challenge to work on stuff. The hardest thing on this whole entire build and doing anything with this was actually putting the dash cover back on. Good grief, who designed that? People need to take those people out and like slap them around with a rubber hose or something. They need to do something a little better than that. But I finally got it back on, and it did finally go back on the right way. So you might be thinking, well, what's the next project? What are you going to do to the Suburban? Well, I'm not really sure yet. But I'm hoping that some kind of inspiration somewhere will hit me as to what I can do next. So stay tuned on the Suburban build. It's going to take me 5 years, but eventually I'm hoping to have a pretty sweet rig. Till next time, see you later.